So Jordan and I couldn't go back to sleep. It's 5 a.m. right now. And he said, well, let me go and show you something. So it says, you tell me that you want to feel special. Well, let me see if I can help that just a little. Open the door. And he moved the dining table was the first thing I noticed. It's so cute. And he had pictures of us printed up. And then you come to here. And the first one says, you are special because you're my wife. You are special because there is nobody else like you on the face of the earth. You are special because you were born for such a time as this. Through your life, millions will receive Jesus because of your willingness to serve him. You are special because you are made in the image of God and you're his greatest masterpiece. Neither he or I find any fault in you. You are special because every day with you is the most joyous occasion and moment of my life. You make life worth living alongside Jesus. You are special because you're so incredibly caring and thoughtful, constantly always putting others before yourself. You are special because you are special because you love Jesus above all else, and that is the most wonderful attribute I could have prayed for. And you are special because you are the most beautiful girl I've ever seen, and beside you there is nobody close. Happy Valentine's Day. And I got flowers, and he said he got white ones because the other day I said that I love white flowers. And those are actually close to our wedding colors. And then there's a card, and then there's a little present. And inside, the other day we were at Target, and I saw this little dish for our spoon next to the coffee maker. And I pointed it out, and I was like, husband, I love it. And you always tell me that I put the spoon on the side and the coffee gets everywhere. And he gets frustrated, and he just laughed at me and walked away, and he got it last night. You're such a cutie, husband. Thank you. Oh, he did all of this at 3 a.m. I'm not going to show him to you because it's 5 a.m. and we just woke up. He's so sweet. And I opened up that card, and then I opened up this one, and I was like, there's nothing in it. Then it said to wifey, be ready to leave at 10:45 a.m. Don't be late for a very important date, husband. That is a good Disney employee right there.
I just met Jose Aldo. So he was the featherweight champion of the world for over 10 years until McGregor knocked him out, and he was like right there. We got to meet him.
Yeah, I set this up. That was my Valentine's present to you.
I had that fountain built for you today.
What? Wow, that's amazing. Alright, so we both got the 3-course meal. And here's our lobster bisque. And is that a little lion? What is that?
It's a sea otter.
Sea otter?
These guys, they're friends with me.
Oh my goodness. He's so sweet. Oh, I need to be inconspicuous. Oh my goodness, look how cute that old man is. Oh, husband. Well, I didn't even get to record our main course. That's okay. So this is his dessert. It's mint ice cream and chocolate cake. And then I got a little cream puff. Look how cute the little swan is.
Alright, just by chance. Hey, anyone a Star Wars fan here? Oh, yeah, Star Wars. we're coming up to our final destination. Like a movie? Final destination for you. All right, you're here. But before you leave, why did the stormtrooper buy an iPhone?
Why?
Because he couldn't find the androids he was looking for.
Oh.
All right. We'll see you later, folks. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a great day, folks.
We're stuck right here before the hill. Hey, when are we going down? Okay, this is weird. We're going! No! Oh gosh! So Valentine's Day was a few days ago, and I have been editing that vlog, and I realized there is probably some people watching that are not married, or you're still waiting for that special someone. And I just wanted to shed some light on something when it comes to marriage. And I'm out running errands right now. I haven't even put the car in park. It was just on my mind. I was like, I gotta stop and say it now before I forget. Growing up, I was raised in a Christian home, as many of you know, and I was raised as a pastor's kid, an evangelist's kid, a missionary's kid, and everything else under the sun. And a lot of people would come up to me and give me words. If you're not a Christian, a word is just something that they feel they've heard from the Lord, and it's for you. It's specifically for you. So they'll go up and they'll share what they feel from the Lord. And sometimes, you know, people don't necessarily know if that's the Lord, if that's just them thinking that. But I remember growing up, I had a few people tell me that you will marry an evangelist. And so I just always had that in the back of my head. I didn't know what he was going to look like. I didn't know where he was going to live or anything like that. I mean, none of us do. But I just knew I was going to marry an evangelist. And I dated before I met Jordan. And I just want to say to some of you that are still waiting for their spouse, hold out for who God has for you. And as cliche and as cheesy as that sounds, it is so true. And even if you have dated, that's fine, you know, and if you're single now and you've dated in the past, you know, it's whatever. But I just know that, you know, I had those words that I would marry an evangelist, and I always just had that in my heart too. I wanted to marry someone like my dad. And then as I got older a little bit, I remember when my dad was really sick with cancer, I remember sitting down in front of his couch, and my mom and I would take care of him. He got sick when I was about 12, and he passed away when I was 18. So that was pretty much my teenage years. I didn't go to school or anything, so it was just homeschooling and taking care of him and hanging out with friends every now and then when I could. But I remember kneeling down in front of him, and he was laying down on the couch. He had excruciating pain in his spine. He had a tumor in his spine, and I sat there and I looked at him and I started crying, but I wanted to make sure he didn't see me cry because I didn't want him to ever think that I was super sad all the time. And even though I did cry a lot while he was sick, I didn't want him to think that it had made me depressed or sad. I wanted him to know that I was still happy. But I was crying, and I made sure he didn't see, and the Lord immediately spoke to me and said, your husband will love you more than you love your dad. And at first I was like, was that me or was that God? But I knew that I would have never in a million years thought that myself, because there is no way on planet Earth any human being could love me more than I loved my dad. My dad was my everything. And I would have done anything for that man. And the fact that God would tell me And I didn't hear an audible voice. It wasn't like the heavens parted open and God spoke down and said, "You will marry." You know, it wasn't anything like that. It was just, I felt it inside of me that my husband would love me more than I love my dad. And I kept that in my heart. And yeah, I still dated, and I was young, and you know, a lot of us are young. We don't know what the heck we're doing. But when Jordan came along, right before he came into my life, I wrote down a list of things that I wanted in my husband. I decided, God, I've hurt myself enough, you know, getting in relationships that you never told me to get into. So I'm going to write down a list of things that I feel strongly about. And a lot of those things were a man that was very upfront. He knew exactly what he wanted. A man that loved me, obviously. A man that loved God above everything else, way before me. I want him to love God way more than he loves me. And I even wrote down physical things. I wanted a man that was tan. I wanted a man that had dark hair and brown eyes. I wanted a man that was tall. And you know, those were things that, and somebody even told me, you probably need to throw away that list because I don't think you're going to get everything on there. I was like, I am getting everything on my list. And I had some dumb things on there that were stupid, but I got everything on my list that God knew I needed and more. I mean, he has blown my mind with Jordan. And I never thought in a million years that my husband would care so much that he would know that my love language is words of affirmation, and he would write down on notes different things that make me feel special. You know, and that's what he did for Valentine's Day. And some of you that, you know, looked at the post that I put up on social media or watching this, you're like, because you're single or whatever, just wait and keep yourself, you know, get closer to Jesus. I wish I had done that. I wish I had spent more time meeting Jesus, you know, learning more of who he is, different facets of who he is, different sides of his love and his compassion. I wish I had spent my time wisely meeting Jesus. And there's no regrets, you know. I learned so much in my teenage years and before I met Jordan. But if you're waiting for somebody and the thought of seeing everybody else post things of, I love my husband, or, you know, my boyfriend's so amazing, whatever, don't cringe. Just look at that and say, God, I'm waiting for the one that you have for me. I'm waiting for that incredible man or incredible woman that we will be able to fulfill destiny together. Because it's so much bigger than just your feelings and what you want and your desires, even though God cares about every little thing. There is a huge picture, and there's so many lives that you can touch with your spouse. So don't cringe or just get annoyed with other couples, but say, God, I want a spouse that I will fulfill your destiny with, your call together. I want a spouse that will be so in love with you, Jesus, that they will show me different sides of who you are. Because that's what Jordan has done. And aside from all this sweet lovey-dovey, you know, cutesy Valentine's or anniversary things, I am so grateful that I married a man that loves Jesus more than anything else on this planet. And that's what it's truly all about.
The women prayed in one part of Williston dormitory. The lobby was divided in two. Women prayed one side and men in the other. And I heard him praying, and I thought, there's a man who knows to whom he is speaking. I remember getting on my knees that night and just saying, Lord, if you let me spend the rest of my life serving you with him, I will consider it the greatest privilege. Faith in the Lord. I mean, you have to. We would never have gotten together in the first place. We wouldn't have lasted this long without the Lord and his presence in our lives, because he was Lord of both our lives. And the closer you get to him, like spokes of a wheel, the closer you get to the center, you're close to get to one another.